So
Yeah,
you
my
made,
title.
yeah, you made the little Reddit posts, and there were 2 points. At least I think so. Yeah, okay. And yeah, why don't you open? Go for it.
Okay, so what convinced me to make a post like this was that I started at university a few weeks ago, and I made friends and whatnot. So I was trying to get them into StarCraft because it's a pretty big thing in my life. I like it. I'm really passionate about the game and the scene, right? But their biggest complaints, they had a few things. They felt like the game was only about macro, and to them that didn't seem very interesting. Like the interesting interactions, like such as unit battles and stuff, didn't seem to happen very often, especially at the lower levels, which most players are at. Most games would just come down to one battle, and then one player would move on to the other player's production, and that would be that. So I sat there in between two of my courses, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I could think of a few solutions and just throw them out there. Because everybody right now seems to be thinking the problem is the macro mechanics. And from having all my friends try out the game, it definitely wasn't the case. The macro mechanics didn't matter because their opponents were just as bad as them. And for example, like Total Biscuit, I think he's saying that he made the analogy that it was like there was a GUI middle to StarCraft and it was covered in a hard shell, and that was macro mechanics, and he just sucks on it or something. But I think even without macro mechanics, he'd probably still be around the same level. I don't think it would really change anything because the game would still be difficult, especially with Legacy of the Void, with how expanding and stuff works. I think it's a harder game than Heart of the Swarm, and Wings of Liberty for sure. So the two things I really noticed was lack of a strong defender's advantage. So one player would win a major engagement, and then they'd be able to roll over the other player, making most games just come down to one battle. And if there were a stronger defender's advantage, then they would be able to push each other back and forth. There'd be more interesting interactions, which would make viewership a lot more interesting and make it more interesting and less frustrating to play the game, rather than having everything come down to one battle that lasts a few seconds and determines the game for most lower level players especially. And then the second point was too much area of effect or damage in general, because engagements, like I was saying, were really spontaneous in a very small part of the game. And there was a really cool comment about that. A player or someone in the Reddit comments was like, oh, if I were to write a book about a StarCraft game, it would be about macro because engagements and interesting interactions take up such a small part of the game that it wouldn't really be worth mentioning because the duration. You'll sit there for 10 to 15 minutes building up armies, and then you'll have one interaction, and then one player gets to the other player's base, and that's the end of the game. So these suggestions were pretty much trying to make the game more fun and appealing to casual players without making it the game easier at the highest level and allowing players to still show their skill. It's just with these changes, players would take a little bit longer to win games, and they'd have more opportunities to go back and forth in the games themselves. I also mentioned game-ending harassment in there because I think that's pretty lame as well, especially for lower-level players having all these different things that require very technical responses to deal with, like Warp Prism Adept, you have to have units, or you have to have an air unit that can chase the Warp Prism. Or oracles, you have to have missile turrets or units in your mineral lines at certain times in the game, and you have to look around for a potential hidden Stargate, or things like that, or Dark Templar, you have to have detection. That was a big one. One of my friends, he was in Bronze League after doing his placements, and he lost to Dark Templar, and he's like, oh, what do I have to do against this? And I'm like, oh, well, you have to have detection, or something in time, or hope that you have a scan, or things like that. And he's like, oh, well, that's pretty lame. That's not a fun way to lose. And that was pretty much it for what I wrote about for the most part.
Yeah, the first part of what you said reminded me of Heroes of the Storm. Just like the game never like really ends until like the last moment because it's so back and forth.
Yeah.
And so with StarCraft, it's like there's a lot of build up and then it just ends very quickly. I don't know, Moral. You seem like a pretty smart dude. What do you think of what he said?
Do you have some examples of how to have stronger defenders advantage?
Yeah, so I brought, or I gave two examples. The one from Dota 2, where you'd have a miss rate at shooting at the high ground. That's also in Brood War, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other example I gave was having units on the high ground, when firing at units on the low ground, get like, a 1 or 2 range advantage, so that you'd have way more favorable engagements. And this would also disencourage turtling to some extent, because you'd only be able to have like good defensive engagements based on how the map design is. And for most map, that only allows 3 bases to have high ground advantage, like Terraform, for example. So I don't think it would be too much of a problem in that sense, but it would also allow people to survive after losing an engagement or something, so they could have more happen throughout the game.
Okay, I actually missed this, so I haven't read it myself, but yeah, I agree. Like, there's always been lack of defender's advantage in StarCraft 2, especially with like warp gate, even like warp prism. So that's one of the reasons why I was so hyped about, you know, warp gate essentially, you know, removed or completely reworked, was just to increase the natural defender's advantage. And then you have stuff like medevac boost. You just load up and boost across the map. You get to the other side of the map pretty instantaneously. And then, like, not only that, you also just unload in your opponent's main base, and suddenly there's no defender's advantage. So I totally agree when it comes to that. The StarCraft 2 has always lacked defender's advantage, and then we always needed like insane defense stuff, like queens needed to be really strong, bunkers needed to be salvaged, and you know, spine crawlers, photon cannons, like all these things are just so very strong, just to kind of hide it, the problem itself.
Yeah, I agree. They're all kind of band-aid fixes. Same with like the mothership core, but I do like the concept of Protoss being able to survive everything like with relative ease, even without scouting. Now it may cause them to like take damage, maybe like a cloaked unit or something like that, but most of the time they'll still be able to survive. And I kind of just wish that applied to like all three races, because especially at the lower levels, it'd make it like playing a lot more fun, because the players would be able to go on to longer games and have more interactions between units throughout the games, which they tend to find a lot funner.
However, when it comes to like that, there's like too much damage. I don't think there's like any easy way of going around it. So
Yeah.
basically, like in Brood War, you would have like so much micro because the units were really dumb and you could only have 12 units selected. So we're kind of like fighting with the AI of the units, and like just moving around units was really hard. Target firing was really hard. A unit is damaged, backing with him is really hard. So all this like basic micro was much harder than it is in StarCraft 2. So StarCraft 2 always needed this kind of, you know, speed to make up for it. And another thing StarCraft 2 needed was, you know, some kind of reason to move your army. And this would, of course, be AoE, like running away from Banelings, running away from, you know, running out of Storm, dodging Fungals. So all this, like these huge AoE things, if you kind of dumb that down or nerf it down, you're going to end up with fights looking like Roach versus Roach, or Roach Hydra against Roach Hydra, and it's just gonna look like pretty boring. So for all this time, I was like kind of agreeing with the, you know, the terrible damage Storm just winning the game instantly, or like sickest disruptor shot. But I think it's kind of just how it has to be if you want a lot of, you know, micro to be enforced into the game. Also, it creates, you know, for these amazing moments, you know, we see like with the mind killing all Mutalisks or all the Banelings, you know, the perfect storm or whatever. So it definitely makes it really exciting, but at some point it can get really dumb if you have too much of it. And I'm not sure if we do or not, but that's sort of my opinion on that.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. They just need to find a balance. I was thinking the same thing. I wanted to try out the Imba League mod and see how the half damage games would play out, so I might look into that, maybe cast a game or two of that. But yeah, just a lot of the friends and stuff that I had try the game, they would have the engagements like with Colossi and things like that, and if they weren't paying attention or something for a few moments, a lot of their army would be killed, and then the game would be ended. And a lot of players aren't able to put in enough time to become like really good and want to master the game, and especially at first when they start playing, if they see them lose the game so decisively with such crushing engagements, it really disencourages them from wanting to play, because it leads to these like frustrating just boom, like I thought I was doing well all game, and then boom, everything's gone, and now the game's over. And I think it's really important to appeal to the casual audience, because that's what makes up the games, as shown through other esports like Counter-Strike, Dota, and League of Legends. So, I don't know, that's just my take on it. I think right now the game's too punishing, and if it remains this way, it's going to be really hard to grow the scene.
What about you, Chris? With the loves of the 5 gates and 7 gate all-ins and harassment?
The biggest point that I like, that I think would help a lot with the game, would be high ground advantage. I really like that for many reasons. I think it was a huge point in Brood War.
Was it actually that big? Can you give a little bit of context for the plebs like me?
It's very big because it's not only just high ground, but the whole aspect of the map completely changes, because obviously those contention points of having high ground advantage are very important, but moving up towards wherever those positions or hills might be, there's also choke points and all that. So it has like a spiraling effect. You know, it's almost like when you look at how could I say this? Like, you know, when you look at like the Weather Channel and they have the hot and cold visual effects of, you know, if it's hot, there's like a red area, and then as it gets colder, it'll move to more like softer colors, like a yellow, and then maybe a green, and then when it gets cold, a blue. So if you looked at a map of StarCraft 2 and you looked at important areas, obviously a high ground advantage area would be red, and that would give you a strong advantage. And then as you move away from that, it would get to, you know, less important areas. But it just makes the whole map very important, because anything getting closer to a high ground advantage area would get warmer. So it has like kind of a Doppler effect on the map where everything is more positionally important. I think in Brood War it was maybe like, Mario would probably know this better, but maybe like a 40-50% chance of missing a shot if it was low ground to high ground.
It was even higher than that. I think it was
Maybe
66%.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
So
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
very
yeah.
significant. It was very, very, very significant. And that's very key, because then you had ways of defending bases, you know,
With fewer units.
Yeah, significantly lesser units. And then any time an opponent is thinking about tacking up that position, not only do they have to consider, you know, those units on top of the ramp, but what might be behind them, whether they can get trapped, whether their reinforcements from the enemy will come quick enough to save that, you know, that small force trying to hold the high ground. It just made the game a lot more in depth as far as positioning. And I
Yeah.
feel like that is a very, very, very key factor that made Brood War a great game. And I would love to see it come back into StarCraft 2, but it's something that I feel like the community didn't value as much as they should for a long period of time. And whether people like to admit it or not, the community actually has a big say, or a decent portion say of what happens to StarCraft 2. So if everybody pulled for it and everybody's like, we really, really want to see this, I think it's a very important thing, it will happen. And we've seen that in the past. So I would personally would love to see them tamper with it, and I think it would be a great attribute to StarCraft 2, but whether they will or won't really depends on how much noise people make, because it is so late into the legacy of the Void Beta. And it is a very, very, very major change.
I wonder how difficult it would be to code, to be honest. But, like, as someone that came from Warcraft 3, that's something you noticed a lot when you were down a ramp. It would actually tell you, compared to Brood War, it would say, like, missed next to the, like, little guy that shot, or the hero. And you would get fucked quite a lot. Like, you would be one shot away from killing the hero, and the little, like, archer would miss, and you'd be like, fuck, what the hell? And the guy gets away. So that's something that could be interesting when it comes to defender's advantage. Just because, and it's also like from a spectating like point of view as well. Like, you're watching a game and like, oh my god, he's lost this big engagement. Now we have to wait 2 minutes until like the winning player decides to move his shit across the map and end it. And then when he does, there's just no comeback because the defender's advantage is not there. So hopefully we can. Hopefully this can be worked on as post-lunch, like they said they wanted to do. There's hope, there's dreams, and Intense is here to write about it.
It just needs to get more popularity.
Yeah. Well,
I agree with Hug.
Yeah, you came to the right place. We'll try to push more for you. Hopefully other people look at your blog. I'll put it in the chat, guys. It's the Reddit or the question part of the show. Unless, Mauro, you had something to add on the miss aspect.
A lot of the miss aspect is like, Huck is so fucking right. Like, it doesn't just have to be about, you know, defender's advantage and, you know, surviving early game, this high ground advantage. Like, it changes the whole way a map works. Like in StarCraft 2, we see high ground, low ground. We see like ramps everywhere, just randomly placed. And casters talking about, oh, defend the high ground right here. Like, it's just laughable. Like, I know as a player myself, like, this fucking high ground advantage doesn't mean shit. When Kalaris sits there, it's like, oh, but he has the high ground over here, and he's running up the ramp. He's running up the ramp. Like, no, it's not a ramp. Like, the ramp doesn't do anything. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. It like, the vision is just, it matters in the early game that you don't see up the ramp. Like this, I understand that. But later game, people have observers, like, people find a way to have high ground vision. It doesn't do anything at all. So
Yeah.
having just that a missed chance or like one more range, it would be so good for all the map makers to like make their maps more distinct, and that you can have like more points of the map where you like that you fight over. Right now we have like expansions, and we have important points of the map that can allow you to rally to different points, like Moonlight Madness. You can stand outside your opponent, and then you can basically attack the natural or the fourth base really easily, while he has to walk all the way around. So this kind of different points of the map that are really important, but there's just not a lot of them in StarCraft 2. It's mostly centered around watchtowers and expansions and not anything else. So if you have high grounds, it's going to change everything about that. So I'm a huge fan of this. I've been saying this for ever since StarCraft 2 came out. It's just something that people have ignored, and their best counter argument was like, oh, I don't like random in my game. Like, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, I honestly don't think it's a big deal.
And
Like,
there's
like in Brood War, you had units that deal like fucking 30 damage per shot, and they would only shoot like every 3rd second, a siege tank. So there's like a miss or a hit is a huge deal. But in StarCraft 2, units, like, they shoot fast and they shoot frequently and all that. So missing or not, I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Yeah,
I've
it
never heard a
becomes-
good reason not to have this in the game.
if you have, like, let's say you're trying to take a ramp and there's high ground advantage, and you have like 30 Marines or something, and you're moving up that ramp, there's enough that it becomes a constant thing that as a player you can measure, like, okay, my units are going to be this effective, on a field base. It isn't like all of them are going to miss like 3 times in a row and your army's just going to get completely obliterated because they missed every shot. It's like, it sounds like a lot, 66%, for example, if we were going to use the exact same as Brood War, but it's really not that important. Maybe on like a map like Lost Temple, if Marto remembers those days, and you would do like a bunker and a tank and like missile turrets up near that natural expansion, and then you had to fight up against that would be a fucking problem. But that would be like a few units. And the long-term perspective, it's not something that's going to be broken. And percentage chances are in every game. They're in MOBAs with critical shots. They're like in Brood War. If you went fucking Reaver drop, you're like crossing your fingers that fucking Scarab hit something, because sometimes it would just fucking wander off and hit nothing. It makes for exciting moments, and I'm personally gonna like try really hard to push for something that could be implemented, because I feel like it would be a huge benefit to StarCraft 2. That would be the one huge point I would take from this post, Andrew, and say that like I am without a doubt not only in complete agreement, but like would push very, very hard for it. High ground advantage. I think it's something that's very important.
I have one other thing to mention about that is they were talking about how maps lacked map diversity in the community feedback update before this one, I think. And I think this would solve that as well, because like I think it was Mara was saying, all these features on the map, the high ground especially, would become like distinct places players would want to play at, and it would like definitely show different types of play on different kinds of maps based on how they're laid out. So yeah, that's just the post I wrote.
It feels like we have so much wasted potential with all the fucking ramps that every map maker puts everywhere.
Yeah.
A ramp here, a ramp there, then nope. I think we covered a lot of what you wrote, but that's interesting. You didn't get a lot of upvotes. Maybe did you put it on Team Liquid as well?
No, just on Reddit. That's probably why.
I see. Okay, well maybe that's something you can do, and then we can retweet it later.
Okay.
All right. Reddit questions. Here's the Reddit thread for the people in the chat. Let me get to it. God damn it! I should have done that while you guys were talking. Okay, the most upvoted thing is please make sure you ask all these totally original Legacy of the Void questions. It's not like you guys get asked the same questions every week and have the same discussion over and over. Please tell me about how you want Blizzard to make big change and take big risk, but also will criticize every change they propose. Well,
I
okay.
feel like we just did that.
Yeah, we kind of did. Okay, what are your expectations for DreamHack Winter as the first Legacy of the Void tournament? Mo, what's your expectations? Are you like, do you want fireworks? Do you want like players like playing in a pit with a crocodile in the middle?
That would be awesome. I don't know. I'm expecting a Korean to win. The reason for that is not because they're better mechanically, but I think they will like brew up the best abusive build orders. Secondly, I don't think it's gonna come down to like who's the best players. I think it's more about who's gonna be playing the best race. So we definitely like this is gonna be like the old 2010 days.
Also, like how you almost won.
That's how crazy Legacy of the Void is right now.
Wait,
How I did win, I am.
Yeah,
It's gonna be really like abusive games, and it's
so
gonna
that's
be.
why you switched to
really
Protoss.
fucking
You're
hype.
preparing for the first tournament. Fucking win it, get the bitches, and then switch back.
I'm pretty sure the adapt is still gonna be nerfed, and maybe the Protoss Dream is dead then, because after the adapt nerf, like Terran is gonna take a shit on Protoss. But yeah, it's gonna be really hype. And it's gonna be very nice to see like not a lot of Koreans in it. So, like I really hope that DreamHack recognizes that all the hype is gonna come from it, because I'm sure it will. And then in the future they can, keep on doing it with some kind of restrictions of who can play and who cannot play, and so forth.
Okay, what about you, Huck? What are your expectations for DreamHack?
In what way? Seems like a very broad question.
Well, it is a very broad question, so you can take it like you want it. Like, do you think the games are going to be the best, or do you think the games are going to be the craziest? Or
I think
you
it'll be
you had
exciting.
a weird smile. Did you think something else when I said take it how
Yeah,
you
it
want
sounded
it?
sexual what you said.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I thought sexual.
So how would you want it then?
I'll take what I want from you, Desro. That's goddamn right. I will.
My man.
I would say I think it's going to be interesting because I feel like this is one of the points in the game where people can view it and say like, hey, maybe a foreigner will win, just because people really don't know what skill level it's at. Whether that's actually true or not, I mean, we could always look at what Maro said, and most likely Koreans still are probably going to win, but not every fan knows that, so I think it's going to be very interesting and fun more than anything else, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, what about you, Intense? Are you going to try to make it, or too much school right now?
I mean, I'll play in the qualifier regardless, just for fun, I guess. If I do qualify, I probably won't go, for a number of factors. Since they don't pay for the trip or anything, I think most North American teams won't pay for the trip for their player, even if they qualify, except
What
like
the
EG
fuck?
maybe.
How can you like? What if you beat someone and you qualify and then you don't go?
It's like there was a Home Story Cup qualifier for North America, and a lot of people played in it, right? But they weren't paying for the trip. So the first like top 3 placers, none of them wanted to go. So then I got offered the spot, and I'm like, oh, I can't go. My team doesn't want to pay for the trip. So like, I don't remember who ended up going. I think Xenocider, he wasn't even in the qualifier, ended up taking the North American spot.
If you beat me in this qualifier and then you don't go, I would be pissed. Personally,
Yeah, it's
like let's say we play
really-
round 1 and then you beat me and then you qualify or even if you never planned to go, I would be legit pissed.
Yeah,
Well, I would
that's
try
weird.
to go, but it's really theoretical on whether or not whatever team I have at the time would send me, right?
Wait, aren't you on Psystorm?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
What are you saying, Desro?
But
What-
I think that's a dick move. It's like everybody doing that in America. What?
You know, like
It happens a lot.
You know,
Okay.
do you know of the Terran called Mishu from Poland?
Yeah.
Okay, that fucking dude was playing Home Story Cup NA qualifiers on a Smurf a year or 2 ago. Like the NA qualifier on a Smurf, just
Oh,
because
really?
just because he wanted to play Pult. I beat him back then. He wasn't so good, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget. All right, we're gonna get a call in. This is Space Marine. The overlays are gonna be fucked up, but let's see how this goes.
Thank God, not a villain.
That was
Are
awesome.
you scared? Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, I was thinking about what Mara said, that the randomness is like not a big factor. Don't you think that? Oh, first I want to ask: have you seen GSL this season?
Not
Because a
every
lot
game.
Okay, because a lot of PvP, when I saw Patience play, it was like no scout, proxy Stargate, and then the other one also went proxy Stargate, and then they just went back to their bases, and then went like Oracle. So a lot of PvP is actually pretty blind, and I don't know if it is in TVT or CVC, but I feel like there's a lot of randomness in HOTS right now. So don't you think that it would be kind of... I mean, don't you think there's going to be a lot of randomness in Legacy of the Void anyways? Or do you think that we need to remove that completely?
No, I think like randomness in build orders and so forth is just like that's always gonna be there. It's like I think that is a much bigger deal that you have that, and that's like terrible game design. But whether or not a stalker like across 10 seconds hits 6 times or hits 4 times, it's not a big deal, because I was like I played Brood War for many years, and never was I thinking like, oh, that's fucking bullshit. I have never had a fight where a stalker or when stalker equivalent, a dragoon would just sit there on the low ground and literally just kill my siege tank on the high ground because it hit every time. Like that doesn't really happen because math and stuff. That's like once in a million. So it's not really a big deal at all. And stuff like build orders and all that stuff, it's much larger than what high ground advantage would do. I don't think anybody would like get pissed over losing a game because of that randomness.
Yeah, I feel like that's like two completely different discussions. One, like the only reason Maro said that, brought up the fact that people don't like randomness in game is that it's such a poor argument for high ground advantage or against high ground advantage, just because there's so many units and it ends up being about 66%. And the only reason they can figure that out is because you see so many units try to shoot up and so many units miss. The thing with build orders is just, it's like a completely different thing. It has nothing to... Like, that is a bad part of gameplay, but the high ground advantage will basically be consistent. Like, it's something you could count on as a player. You could feel and know, like, whether you could storm the top of that ramp or not with a superior army.
Yeah. I was going to make the same point as Chris. Just with the high ground advantage, like, it's quantifiable, like 66%, but with build orders, that's always random, and it always will be random. So at least with this, you'll kind of know what to expect, and like Chris said, you'll get a feel for it.
Did we answer your question correctly?
Yes, I have another one if you have time.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, you were also talking about appealing to the casual gamer.
Yes.
Do you think that Blizzard should actually make skins and so on? Because I tried playing against skins some time ago, and I feel like it's really annoying, and I don't know if the surface area of the unit is bigger because it had the skin, but it felt like it was easier to kill it with the Immortal because the Immortal had like 6.5 range-ish when it was firing on a Tor.
So I think there's a very easy... excuse me. I think there's a very easy solution to this, and that is that in the menus you just have an option that just says disable skins, and that's it. And this is off by default. So all the casuals who don't even touch the game and they jump in, like they can see the skins because they like that shit. And if you're a pro gamer, you just click like disable skins, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
But you don't, it's just it's not only skins. It's like I think we need a little bit more than skins to make it good for casual gamers. Because I have been playing Legacy of the Void a lot lately, and as a Grandmaster League player myself, I feel the game is freaking hard. Like it's super difficult to play the game. So what do Blizzard need to do to appeal to the casual gamer?
like
minus skins.
in my opinion, like you should never try to like appeal like to casuals when it comes to 101. I think 101 is like meant to fucking break you down and make you want to quit over and over. But this is for the people who like to improve. They like to play because they feel like they're actually becoming like better human beings by playing StarCraft. Like this is what 101 is made for in StarCraft. So I don't think if you want to appeal to casuals in any way, it should be as, you know, spectating the game, because that's what casuals want to do. So I think what casuals should be doing is playing Arco mode, 2v2, free for all, custom games in the arcade, and that kind of stuff. I think Blizzard should introduce stuff like you know, daily quests like they have in Hearthstone. I think they should like bring in, you know, a mini expansion, if you will. Like every third month, they bring in like, you know, mission that you can buy for, you know, this arbitrary money that you collect from your dailies, and you know, you can play that campaign stuff. So everything else but 101, I think they should be pushing that much harder to appeal to the casuals. But that's my take on it.
I don't agree with that entirely. Well, I do agree that it should have a very competitive aspect, which is very important in the development and design of the game. But I think at its most basic form, it should appeal as being a fun game, right? And I think, I mean, this is what I wrote in my blog post, essentially, just a few suggestions that I think would help make the game a lot funner and less punishing for the worst players. Like he was talking about, the game being too difficult, and like how my friends interpreted the game being. So, yeah, I think that just comes down to game design, and I think they should definitely include the casuals in game design as well as the competitive players.
What about you, Chris? You look concerned.
I was talking to someone. That's all. I had nothing to do with this. I didn't even hear the question. What was it?
It was how Blizzard should appeal to the casual gamer.
Skins. I mean, ideally, I would love to see them do skins. I would love them to do some kind of currency for doing, like, pretty much take all the best aspects from the other esports. So CSGO, you got skins / betting. Hearthstone, you have, like, daily quest / in-game currency that you can use. League of Legends, you're going to have in-game client things that you can directly click and pop up that link to, you know, the esports side of the game, as well as skins and in-game currency. So I feel like you take all that, and then maybe even the Dota 2, as far as like the compendium and being able to easily crowdfund or add to the prize pool of events. Take all that shit, put it into StarCraft 2. I feel like too many game developers have like some level of pride where, you know, they don't want to do what Dota 2 did with the international because they did it first, and they'll be seen as like the followers, you know, like they're just copying Dota 2, where all the fans care about is they just want to see their game do really well. And then at the same time you see, you know, like LoL, they look at CSGO and they look at the betting and how successful that drives everything in that game and makes it a very popular and fun game. I mean, I think anybody that is of a mature age and has ever bet on sports or anything in life, it makes, you know, the simplest shit very exciting, betting it and having an invested interest. And I feel like all that shit would help any esport. And I would not only encourage Blizzard to add all those things, but any other developer. So basically all the things.
All the things.
And Blizzard will maybe add one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think that covers it pretty much. Thank you so much, Space Marine, for calling in. Maybe we can have you call in another time. Just set me up during the Q&A session. And yeah, thank you again.
Yep. Thanks.
Take care, buddy. All right, let's remove him. Let's go back to the overlay. Let's not fuck it up. Here we go. All right, next question. Pro League and GSL final prediction. Now, I know predictions are sometimes the boring part of the show, but this guy asked, rewarded fool, so let's reward him for being a fool. SKT versus Gen Air Pro League final. It's the best of what? Best of what? It's best of 7, right? Best of 9? Does anyone know? Maybe someone in chat will know. Anyway, SKT versus Jin Air. Mo, what do you think is gonna win, SKT or Jin Air?
This is very hard to like predict teams because I don't keep track on who's on what team.
I mean, just go with your
Totally-
heart if you
totally.
don't want to go with your head.
Well, yeah. Let's just say like I'm all right. Let's see here. Okay, so they got Classic, Dark, Dream, Impact, Innovation, Zoo. Okay, so that's SK Telecom. Jin Air. All right, so they got the Maru, Cure, SOS. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say I think SK Telecom because I think Innovation is like the actually best player in the world right now, and I think he's the clear favorite against Maru, who's like the best team on Generic Green Wings. So SOS is gonna be a very important tool, I think, for Generic Green Wings to be able to snipe Innovation with some kind of build. If that doesn't happen, then I think there's no stopping Innovation. That's my prediction.
All right. What about you, Chris?
Go to Andrew, and then Andrew, reform the question that he asked in your question, so I know what it is because I wasn't listening again.
I think he's out of the loop, but it was just Pro League predictions. But I think SK Telecom is going to easily win. Like, their lineup's way better. Like Mara was saying, like Innovation, there's like not really anyone aside from SOS with maybe some weird build order could beat him. And then even those other players like Dark, Sue, Impact, and Classic are like really strong, solid players, which all have the potential to all kill Jin Air's lineup.
You realize Jin Air went through KT and CJ to make it to the finals, including a reverse all kill by SOS versus KT.
Yeah, but I think the players on SKT are like better than those other teams. But that's just my opinion. Innovation being the best player, I think, in the world right now as well.
Okay. Okay, GSL final. This is gonna be Innovation versus Bjol. Yo, I'll stick with the B if Bjol loses again. Like, I actually don't want him to win. Just so we can see him cry one more time.
He'll get used to it eventually.
I'm gonna unmute just to laugh.
That'd be sick, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think is gonna win,
Bjol.
Innovation or Bjol?
I mean, I think it's obviously Innovation.
I hope Innovation wins, just for what you said. Not the fact that, like, I like Buell, he's a very nice kid, but I just think it's way more entertaining if someone just keeps losing and I want the yellow for StarCraft 2, the guy that literally gets second every single time. We've had people that have come close, like Sue, but I actually want to see Buell just fucking never get first.
Yeah.
Always get second. I think that would be highly entertaining.
Yeah. As long as he's consistent, like he has to keep going in Legacy of the Void, hopefully. Doesn't lose his passion, keeps coming in second. I mean, you still make good money, you just never get the big trophy, man.
Well, you get way less, actually. Look at the prize. It's
well, I mean, you
36 to 9,000. That's a big jump.
I mean,
Holy
you make
shit.
more than the top 8 people. You know, you're not a pleb at that point. All right, let's go on with the next question. I just want an unfiltered Legacy of the Void talk. To be honest, are you guys really happy with the changes from Heart of the Storm to Legacy? Did Blizzard do a good job changing the game, improving it, or do you think Blizzard pretty much missed the last change to make StarCraft 2 the best game it can possibly be? I'm personally pretty disappointed. I'm sure you don't want to burn any bridges, but it would be great to see a critical Legacy of the Void talk today because we all know the game won't change much anymore from now on. So I'll start since I'm the host and I never get to talk, so fuck you guys. At first I thought the game was great, but I think it was more smokes than like actually the game being great. I think adding more workers was like, I don't know, it was like it's like, you know, like eventually like when you put a lot of shit in the oven or in the pan and then eventually it tastes good, then you're like, oh shit, I'm Gordon Ramsay. So that was like what happened with the extra workers. They're like, oh, this looks like a different game. We did it, guys. And they pat themselves on the back. There's just StarCraft 2 is such a technical game, and it has so much depth that I feel like the game's a little bit rushed out right now. And I think the beta period was the worst period they could ever find. The last time they did September to February, which was great for off season. This time it was in the middle of WCS season 2, so you didn't get a lot of great players playing the game, and so luckily for us, they say they're gonna work on it post lunch, but for now, I think they missed a lot of stuff. And as far as the game being fun, anything new is always fun. Now, is it great in the long run? That's a question we can't answer right now. At least I think so. And let's go with Moral.
So that was your unfiltered answer?
Yeah, I think it's being rushed out. I think the beta period was
Yeah, but can
stupid
you
as
be a
fuck.
little bit more specific? Like, did you like 12 workers or not?
I don't think it removes a lot of aspects of the game. Like I like proxy to gating, I like dying to early cheese like that. Cannon Rush is still in play, but that's really the only thing. Like I feel like it's not a bad change, but it's to cover up like all the other holes in the game. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty much the same game except the early game has changed. And it changes a bit the army composition. It's like I don't know how to say it. It's like when you paint a wall and then there's like fucking mold in it. Like for a little bit, like you see the new paint and you're like, oh, this wall looks great, but then it's fucking rotting from the inside. You get it?
Yeah, but what did you want from Legacy?
What did I want? I don't know, man. Like the dead balls are still very viable. You don't expand as much. The game doesn't look like Boudoir at all. Everything dies so quickly. There's a lot of ways to fix it, but people have been playing this game for 5 years, so you can't just take everything away.
Okay.
That's pretty much what I said in my post, those same things.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh, man. But I don't know, I just want Defender's Advantage, a way stronger one. That would make the game better on so many different levels. Way more strategic depth, way more positioning, less punishing for casual players. Like, so many different things that would help. I don't know, that's just me. And I think they missed out on that. I don't think they're going to change it now. I think it's too late in the beta. But maybe if there's a big circle jerk like Total Biscuit's doing with the macro mechanics, maybe they'll look into it. So,
What about you,
we'll
Mo?
see. What do you think, Chris? Oh, Maro?
yeah, we'll go with Chris. Yeah, look at you being
I thought Maro
those-
already talked about it.
No, he just fucking put me on the spot and he was thinking. Fucking Gunter, fuck.
Like we've discussed, I would love to see. I think, like, despite people's problems and we didn't really test the double mining thing, I feel like the economy change is a huge step in the right direction. I think anybody, pro gamer to casual, that's played Legacy of the Void to any extent, can see how quicker the game moves. The biggest thing, especially going from Legacy of the Void and then preparing for DreamHack and going back and playing Heart of the Swarm, it's like Heart of the Swarm, you get 16 workers per base, 2 or 3 bases, and you feel like, okay, there's just no point in making more workers. Now, because the economy is so faster moving, it's just like a very stressful situation to be constantly taking bases, and you feel very rewarded. Like if you are 4 or 5 bases against an opponent that's 3 or 4 bases in Legacy of the Void, it's very significant. You can feel that difference, and you can see it in production. So I feel like that change was great, but it's just, I mean, even just what Desiree said, I feel like high ground advantage is something that needs to be looked at, and I think it's a very important thing, and I feel like it's not going to be looked at because there's literally 1 month left in the beta, and that's such a major change, it's just never going to happen.
Alright, Mo, your time to shine, motherfucker.
You're like building it all up. I don't have much to say. I think, yeah, like I think the economy change with the less minerals per base was like really amazing. Obviously not like the absolute best one, but I think it's like really good enough, and you can already see it in every single game that you play how much of a difference that makes. And the 12 workers start, I still think that was amazing. I think that's going to improve it as a spectator sport a lot, but also as a player myself, it just feels like you're saving like 2 to 3 minutes every single game you play. It just feels great. When it comes to actual gameplay, I think all the new units are pretty well designed. Obviously, the balance is not ideal right now. As far as death balls go and all that, I think it's somewhat solved just because you don't like get to that, because units are so good at attacking. They're so good at like picking picking at each other. And even if you get to, you know, the death ball stage, I feel like just because you have so many bases and so on, you naturally want to spread out to defend all of them. So I think they have sort of fixed the death ball thing. I don't really feel it in my games, at least. Okay, so what else? What else was there? Okay, so as far as gameplay goes, I'm quite happy how it went. Obviously not like perfect as far as macro mechanics go. I did like the old mule and all that. I think the game would have been better without macro mechanics at all. But I think it's gonna be good enough. So I'm happy as far as, you know, playing one-on-one goes. What I'm really worried about is that they're not gonna do the things that we talked about on this show, which is do all these things for the casuals. You know, with the currency, with the skins, with the arcade and all this like crazy stuff that would this is actually what's important. Not gameplay is like whatever, to be honest. It's everything revolving around it that's gonna depend on if StarCraft 2 can like become big for real and not just be like a piss game that's disappearing in 2 years. So that's what I'm really holding my thumbs for. I'm like really praying that that's actually going to happen, because otherwise, like, even if one-on-one is good, like that alone is not going to keep StarCraft 2 in the loop. It's going to disappear.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the beta period, that's something I mentioned, you guys didn't touch it, but the beta period and the best players not playing the game is such a huge like missing point of
What do you mean we did not touch it? I literally said, like Desro said, the 1 month beta period I feel like is not enough, and that's the reason we're not going to see things tested like the high ground advantage as much as it should have been.
Oh.
I think that was like the exact sentence I said.
Oh, well, anyway, hopefully now that they're going to work on the game post-launch, they can be very proactive with the patches and try to change the game more often than once in a blue moon. But
they'll never actually look at something. Like, if you think, like, high ground, in my mind, is as game-changing as the economy, and they're never, ever going to look at the game in that aspect again, post-launch. They will not make huge changes like that.
But he said they could remove the macro mechanics post-launch.
And I consider that far less than the economy change.
The high
far
ground...
less. And the high ground, too. It's like completely game changes. It changes so much strategically.
I like when you're passionate like that. It doesn't happen often, but it brings a fire in my eyes. All right. Next question. Do you think it's possible to have any more bold changes made to the game after release, and that this whole... Okay, well, you know what?
We just answered that.
Yeah, fuck you, Intense. Shut up. All right.
At least Chris agreed with me for once.
Yeah. What the hell? This guy posted twice. What do you think of Chanman's return to StarCraft talk show scene, and what do you think of their content so far? Chris, have you been reading Reddit?
I mean, I read Reddit every once in a while, but I didn't really... I mean, it's not so much a StarCraft show, is it? It's like a
No, they forced a StarCraft topic for 20 minutes, and then they moved on to anything else they could find.
I don't know.
I feel like...
I like Chanman. He's a good guy. I feel like the show doesn't have any negative things about it. So...
I feel like the reason it's so upvoted on the StarCraft subreddit is because of all the Destiny StarCraft fan crossover. So it always gets highly upvoted, but they don't talk much about StarCraft. Their show has good chemistry. Like, Richard Lewis is good at talking, and it's very entertaining, but it doesn't have much StarCraft. For Mo, did you switch to P for good? Wait. God damn it, Gladys, we talked about it.
Yeah, they're asking me like 100 times every day. It's
yeah,
so
do you feel sick? Do you feel sick at this point?
Yeah.
Just switch and shut down all the rumors.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I switch much easier that way.
All right, from Snuffle on Twitter, Property Snuffle. What should be done about the Cyclone? It seems to have no place in any matchup, and it's super boring unit. Intense.
I think it has some potential to be interesting with how it locks on and chases units. It kind of stat-wise, it's like pretty terrible. And the way the lock-on like works, it's pretty clunky. Like there's a delay with how it locks on, and then if you lose vision of the unit, it automatically unlocks, and like so it's like in a lot of situations it becomes really useless. And there's always better ways to spend your resources. So probably just stat buffs and making the lock-on a bit more effective, I think would help a lot with that.
What about you, Mo?
Yeah, like yeah, I don't know about the Cyclone. Like when I first saw the Cyclone, I thought like, okay, this could be like a cool tool that you could get like a Cyclone and you can, you know, defend the Oracle, or you could have a Cyclone and, you know, contain the Protoss, you know, like you would do with Hellions against the Zerg, you know, as a utility unit. But the problem is that we saw Cyclones and then they were really OP, and people were just massing Cyclones and it looked disgusting. They were just kiting everything in the game, countering everything in the game. And then they nerfed them to the ground and then nobody used it. And now it seems like a good unit, but people are not really using it. So it's kind of hard to say like what do they want, like how many Cyclones do they want Terrans to build? What is the Cyclone supposed to counter? Like nobody knows. And nobody is like really using these units, so I wouldn't mind seeing a buff, like we saw with the Disruptor. You know, you buff it because people use it, right? To encourage them to start using it. So I encourage them to buff the Cyclone so people start using it, and then we kind of find out like how strong it is and so forth, what it could be used for. Like right now, I have no idea what role it's supposed to fill. No clue, but I think it could have a good like if it was a utility tool that you got a few of them in specific situations, it would be a cool unit. It's not a cool unit when you make only Cyclones and kite everything, so they need to find a middle ground for that, I think.
Okay, what about you, Chris? Any thoughts on the Cyclone, or are we good to go?
No thoughts. We're good to go.
All right, this question from Reddit is really good. All right, are you guys ready? I think that's the best question of the day.
Has it already been answered?
$10. $10 says it's gonna be fucking horrible.
No. All right. This one is for Disro or anyone else who wants to comment on it, if they want to as well. Can you not freaking make a ton of noise with your fucking bag of... Thank you.
Popcorn.
All right.
Oh.
If a turtle has no shell, is it naked or homeless? What? Did he really hang up?
I think he just shut off his cam.
But it's a good question. Is it naked or homeless?
I think it's both.
Is it though?
Kind of. I mean, it's not living inside anything, so it'd be homeless, and then it's not covered in anything, so it'd be naked. So it'd be naked and homeless. Right? I'm not the only one who feels that way. What do you think, Maro?
I think it can't be without a shell, because if you take off the shell of a turtle, it becomes a lizard, right? Yeah?
No, I think all their guts and stuff are inside the shell, yeah. Like, they spill and, like, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
so
they're not lizards.
It's just a dead turtle then.
Yeah, it's a dead turtle. So it'd be a naked,
sad.
homeless, dead turtle. But it's a theoretical question, just assuming that it didn't die, I guess.
Yeah. Alright.
Oh, this is really dark.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home, okay?
It's just like me and Zanster when we were walking back from in Toronto at Hell It's About Time. He lost his bag and we walked to the venue. It was like 9 a.m. and the bag wasn't in the venue, so we walked back and we saw a fucking baby squirrel that fell from a tree on the sidewalk. And when we walked, like, in front of us, there was a guy with a dog, and the dog was going ham. We were like, what the fuck? Why is the dog going ham? And as we walked closely by, the baby squirrel does like a... And me and Zanster look at each other, and we're like, this baby squirrel is so fucked. There's nothing we can do. And then we just continue walking. And so the baby squirrel probably died. I don't know.
What do you mean there's nothing you could do? Go fucking stop the dog from eating the squirrel.
No, the
Yeah,
dog.
yeah.
No, the dog owner like walked away already. But the baby squirrel is like on the sidewalk. He's not gonna make it back up the tree.
So why don't you go chase the dog away at least? Give it
The
like a
dog
fighting
was
chance.
the dog left already. The dog didn't do anything, but the baby squirrel is stuck on the sidewalk because he fell from the tree. And
So
he's
why was the dog in the story?
well, the dog was just in
Yeah.
front of us. He was just like
I
walking.
thought the dog was eating the
No,
squirrel.
no,
Yeah,
the dog. No,
that's the impression
dog,
that I
No,
got.
no, no. The dog just
Why
wanted
did
to like.
you mention the dog
The
then?
dog just wanted to smell the squirrel. It's not part of the story. But the fucking baby squirrel, me and Zenster look at each other and we're like, this is so fucked. Why did we have to witness this? We feel so bad. And we just kept
You know what you should have
walking.
done?
What?
You should have acted like a Native American. They don't let anything go to waste. You pick up that squirrel instead of going to Tim Hortons. You cook that bitch. You eat that baby squirrel.
Yeah.
And then you make a necklace out of its bones. And then you
Make
tell
like,
the story.
Make like a
And-
squirrel hat.
yeah. You scalp the fur. Make like a mitten for one of your fingers or something. I don't know, man. There's many uses for that squirrel instead of just dying there. And you just
Yeah.
let it waste.
You could have taken it home and let it sit on the floor like Morrow does with his potato.
Dead squirrel cam. I'm for it.
What would kill who first, the squirrel on Desro or the potato on Morrow?
Alright. Alright. Why do you keep closing your webcam? What are you doing?
And he comes back.
What's going on? What are you doing? Alright. Alright, so no, I think all the Reddit questions are expired, guys. They weren't that many really.
Good ones that we didn't cover at least.
Oh, do you think the sci-fi theme is what made StarCraft 2 not as popular for casuals compared to the fantasy theme that Warcraft 3 had? Many of my friends that played custom games in Warcraft like that way more than
No. StarCraft 2 was way more popular than Warcraft 3 was.
Hell no.
Yeah, sci-fi's way
Yes, it
cooler.
was.
Yeah, it is.
StarCraft 2 was a bigger esport than Warcraft 3. StarCraft 2 was the biggest esport at one point.
Yeah.
Overall, over Dota 2.
That's not fair. That
I mean,
was-
but not
this-
just that.
This is late.
Okay, Brood War was a bigger esport than Warcraft 3, and it was sci-fi.
Boom.
Yeah, but that was like no, I don't think it's fair. I
That-
think
yes, yes.
you got a good point. I think fantasy is more appealing to casuals. It is to me personally. I think that's just as cooler, like
Yes, you're a
swords
freaking-
and shit.
Of course, you're all about that.
It depends what background you come from, I guess. I don't know. Just me and I guess people associate with all like sci-fi, so they're all more into StarCraft. But then when I talk to other people, they don't even know what Warcraft is. They only know about World of Warcraft, but they do know about StarCraft. So I don't know.
Yeah, but take like the biggest TV shows you have, and it's like nothing in sci-fi because nobody gives a
What?
fuck.
Star Wars,
What?
Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica.
There's a literal like
No,
television
no,
channel in America
no,
called Sci-fi
No,
that only plays sci-fi,
like,
and it's
that's
really
not,
popular.
That's not like TV shows. So right now the biggest one is Game of Thrones, and that's all like fantasy and shit.
That's not a TV show either. It's a HBO series.
What? It's a
But
TV show.
Okay, it's not a movie.
It's-
okay.
It's a TV show, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no, but
But Star Trek
think
is a
that's-
TV show.
I think that's how it is. I think
Battlestar
that's what-
Galactica was a TV show.
Yeah, but nobody
I don't know if they're
gives
as
a fuck about
popular.
that.
Yeah.
It's popular.
I guess I do get his point. But I think sci-fi has potential. It's just Game of Thrones is a better show with better storylines, I think.
Yeah.
This is off topic, though. This is all like really theoretical and opinion based. So
This is fine, man. We need
Yeah, but
personalities.
I think it's true. I think
Yeah.
it's true for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I
sci-fi is
think,
better, though. We'll just agree to disagree, right?
yeah. I mean, like, look
No,
at League of
I think
Legends
I'm
and Dota,
actually-
man. Fantasy rules the world.
It's like you guys would be the worst scientists ever. You're taking like two unrelated points, putting them together, and be like, "This proves my theory." No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's
Just because Dota and LoL are more popular doesn't mean that fantasy is better than sci-fi. Maybe fantasy is better than sci-fi, but they don't correlate at all.
There's
Yeah.
different factors at play. Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Fucking
that
joke.
intentionally. I did that intentionally, but I think.
But
I think
Desro doesn't. You're encouraging
Yeah.
all the retards in the world, Morrow, to continue to act retarded. That's why your fucking sub-channel or whatever is called the Special Class.
Wow, it all makes sense now.
like if they came up with Warcraft 4 instead of StarCraft 2, it would have been much bigger. Because it's like orcs and shit. People like that more.
Just stop. It's too late now.
That's true. Heroes of this, Heroes of what's it called? Cardstone. Like that's Warcraft, not Starcraft.
But that's a
It's-
unique
if-
concept, though.
Yeah, but
It's a card game that's like online.
So if Starcraft
He's
was,
just trolling. Shut up, Morrow. Go on to the next thing.
so if they really thought Starcraft 2 was like more better than Warcraft, then they wouldn't have made Cardstone in you know with orcs and shit. Like would have Zerglings instead. They clearly realize it's more popular.
Oh man.
All right, guys, we covered every question on Reddit. It's time for the shadow period. Entence, what are you going to be up to next? Where can we see you? Are you going to be streaming? Are you going to be traveling? Are you going to be... Yeah.
I probably won't be doing anything for a
Oh,
while. I'll be. You'll
man.
see me on ladder here and there. I might stream occasionally on like weekends. I guess just shout out to my team Psystorm. They've helped support me, keep me in the StarCraft scene. But like Chris talked about, you have to do stuff outside of being a pro gamer in North America. So like I'm a full-time university student.
Nice.
That takes up most of my time. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you for coming on the show, by the way, and making that blog. Hopefully Blizzard reads it and they think twice about high ground advantage.
I think they read it, but I don't think they care. I don't think they're going to do anything.
My man.
But that's really negative. Well, I mean, because they have a lot of people working there that read all the content, and they told you about that at the community summit, I think. So they haven't responded or anything, so I don't know.
I cannot confirm or
the
deny.
thing is, like, they have community managers. They're like, read this shit, but then they don't tell the designers.
Yeah,
It's like-
that's what
Like, I
mean.
went personally and told like one of their employees, that's like a community manager, like, all right, can you like show this to the game designers? And he's like, yeah, sure. But then weeks later, I talked with a game designer, and he has never seen that content before. So like, even if they say like, yeah, we're gonna totally tell them, like, it doesn't mean it's true. So even though they read everything, it's not, they don't like bring everything to the game designers, all the things they read and so on.
Does that rustle you, Mo?
Yeah, it pisses me off. Yes.
I don't know. We all need to like start a thing, like a hashtag or something, somewhere where we could be like, oh, buff defender's advantage or something. We can make this happen, I believe. We'll see.
Oh, God. Please no.
Nah, hey, Chris is feeling the same way. Chris, we're gonna make it happen. I don't know about Morrow.
No, I'm on board, man.
Yeah, that's
I
all
just-
three of us. Everybody but
I-
Desro.
I just think it doesn't matter compared to everything I talked about, which is, you know,
Yeah.
money transactions and all that. I think that's just so much more important.
Yeah, because regardless of how difficult the game is, if they're like, you know, involved in those ways, then they'll be motivated to play because they'll be interested in the game. Yeah, but
Well, it depends what you're arguing here. Like, if you're arguing as like a pure artistic fan, pro gamer of the game, I feel like high ground advantage is much more important. You know, skins and shit isn't going to change anything about the actual game. But if you're talking about the success of the game as an esport, I think skins, betting, in-game currency, daily quests are way more important. So they're just two different.
but the quality of
things.
the game itself, the high ground, yeah, they're kind of different things. But yours would help more, but ours like would help too. So that's all I have to say.
What about you, Moro? What are you going to be up to next? Are we going to see you anywhere anytime soon? Are you going to be taking the potato with you?
You can check me out on my stream. I stream pretty much every day these days at the Twitch TV/Morrow, and you can follow me on Twitter at PropMorrow. So that's what I'm up to, streaming and playing Protoss right now for fun.
For fun?
Yeah.
It's all about the fun, right?
Yeah. Now when I'm all also so casual, it's all about the
See?
fun for me.
Yeah, but I saw you rage because people were telling you to micro your phoenixes and you rage in your chat.
No, what? Oh, maybe at the end they like
Yeah.
the only unit to Brutalisk is Phoenix, but to actually counter Brutalisk, you need like your observer. So I'm losing because we're playing on NA, and that's really dumb. So I need to remind my viewers that I'm not mismicroing my Phoenix. It's the lag, okay? And that's what they don't understand that. So I need to tell them. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Chris? Mr. I'm reading Reddit.
I wasn't reading Reddit. I was trying to talk to Blizzard people to try to get this shit implemented. So SMD,
Who are
Desra.
you talking to?
First of all,
Hey, what
David
does
Kim,
SMD means?
suck my dick.
Oh, well, when you put it that way, but go on.
Yeah, so like when I wasn't paying attention to all these retarded questions, such as the turtle and its shell, it wasn't
But hey,
because
you
I'm reading
didn't.
Reddit, it's because
Do
I'm
you think
trying
it's
to
homeless? Or do
push
you
changes because I actually care about the game. So SMD, to
Boom.
you and
I feel the
everybody
same
in
way.
chat that was hating, and what I will be up to is talking to Blizzard, pushing for the things I believe in, maybe watching a little bit of LOL, because I hate all of you, and probably start practicing Legacy of the Void within like 4 or 5 days in preparation for DreamHack.
I just hope they patch it up soon so I could get to practicing.
There you go.
Nice. Nice.
I don't know, just shoot.
My man. Oh,
I
God.
don't know what else to say.
No, not you. Like, they're supposed to rope me in, but they're fucking terrible at it. All right, guys. As for myself,
No, wait. Alright, Destro. Destro. My man, what are you up to next?
so I'm getting 10 million views on Twitch very, very soon, and so I'm gonna be doing a drunk panda stream on Saturday. So I'm gonna be with the panda makeup, and I'm gonna get wasted as fuck, and we'll see where it goes. You know, I'll be more ham than the last time. Like, I don't know if you remember the last time. I was on a Skype call with you, and I fell asleep while drinking. Do you remember that, Chris?
Wait, so you're getting drunk
No.
again? That panda suit?
Yes.
I thought you learned from the last time.
Well, the last time was pretty shameless.
He looks like a cheap prostitute with this makeup running and everything. Like he's been smacked around a little too much.
It's
and
quite
he's
an
like been crying all night or something.
It's quite an adventure. Like, you go on a journey. Like, it starts out really nicely, and then it just goes downhill pretty rapidly from that point on. So I'll be doing that on Saturday to celebrate 10 million views. And that's about it, guys. Thank you again for watching Remax. We'll be back next week. Thank you, Intense, for coming on. Thank you to Moro and Huck for being co-host. And I hope the turtle made it. Have a good week, everyone.